Hello and welcome to Season 3 of the NGO Whisperer Show. My name is Carolyne Opinde. I am the founder of the NGO Whisperer. We are a consulting business that provides technical support to nonprofits so they can successfully impact people's lives. Joining us today from Johannesburg, South Africa is Lillian Barnard. She is the Managing Director of Microsoft South Africa. Today, we will be discussing Microsoft tech solutions to fight gender-based violence in South Africa. Lillian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Caroline. Glad to be here.
It is such an honor and a pleasure to have today. Unlike many of our guests, you are a corporation, Microsoft, of course, South Africa, one of the largest corporations in the world. And today we are going to talk about how corporations around the world can contribute to making a difference in the world. Today, specifically, we will be focusing on a great cause that Microsoft South Africa has engaged in. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, during the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been an increase in incidences of gender-based violence. As someone who has worked in this field for many years, I know what that means. And today, we're going to discuss how Microsoft South Africa, together with leading gender-based violence organizations in South Africa, two of them specifically, 1,000 Women Trust and Tears Foundation, have launched the Safe at Home Hackathon to address gender-based violence in South Africa. So Lillian, what inspired Microsoft South Africa to focus on gender-based violence and not any other causes?
Thank you for asking, Caroline. As you may know, that gender-based violence is one of the most pressing and critical challenges that South Africa faces. And in fact, our President, Cyril Ramaphosa, has identified it as the second pandemic that the country is currently waging. With over 40% of South African women experiencing sexual or physical interpersonal violence in their lifetime. A study by the WHO, the World Health Organization, have found that 42% of females between the age of 13 and 23 in our country have reported that they've experienced physical dating violence, and that's staggering. And we all know that the incidence of unreported violence is much higher and in fact getting worse. So when Microsoft Israel partnered successfully with the Michael Seller Foundation, and this is headed by a sister of a victim of gender-based violence, and they partnered as well with the country's developer community to create and develop technology-based solutions to help victims of gender-based violence. We saw this as an opportunity to build on the work they've created, to leverage what they've already done. And we realized that this was our opportunity as Microsoft South Africa to make a difference in this specific regard. We've recently seen the power of technology and just the power it has to solve some of society's most pressing challenges. And we believe that emerging technologies have the potential to accelerate the impact and as well as to help us solve some of these challenges. And we understand that access to the right technology can enable us to have a faster and a more effective way for women and children to reach out for help. And the goal of the Safe at Home initiative locally was to find relevant and, very importantly, a sustainable solution to help South Africa's most vulnerable at risk. And as a leading global technology company, we recognize the role that technology solutions can play to respond to some of our most pressing challenges, and we wanted to make a difference through the Safe at Home initiative.
That is a great introduction to what you and the partners that you work with did. Who did you partner with? What was the process like for you?
Microsoft has a very strong history of partnering with NGOs. And it was very clear for us from the onset that we will continue on this tradition. So we consulted with two NGOs, 1000 Women Trust, as well as the Tears Foundation, to get a deep understanding of the challenges around GBV. And also we wanted to use their insights to construct the parameters of the challenges that we were going to set out in the hackathon. Whilst gender-based violence do not know demographics, we do have a harsh reality in South Africa that many of the victims do not necessarily have access to high-end technology, including smartphones. So through consultation with the NGOs, which was our partner for the duration, and we will continue to partner with them, now post the hackathon, our developers were given additional parameters to consider for their submissions. And let me just share with you what some of these were. Number one was that the fact that victims were still using third and fourth generation phones. They do not necessarily have access to easy to use applications such as WhatsApp or one-touch SOS tools or applications. And also the fact that, data is expensive and not always readily available. We also have a challenge with load shedding, which would then make, cell phone towers not as reliant as it should be, and also limited or no access to airtime for people to send that emergency message or SMS. And often people have no access to transport, right, to quickly find a place of safety. So the NGOs were absolutely instrumental to help us understand the challenges, because often, women are faced with very tough decisions, such as, for example, to maybe leave their spouses, and how do they then quickly find, a safe haven. By working with the NGOs, we got to understand the deep issues, because our aim ultimately is to provide the NGOs with the custodianship of the solution so that they can deploy it, utilize it, and put it in the hands of the most vulnerable at risk. And in addition to working closely with the NGOs, we have also worked with mentors from the technology sector who have supported our teams to help them build out their projects. And we were also joined by 4 judges who joined us for the adjudication. And it was an absolute pleasure, Carolyne, to also have you as part of the judging panel. And we had 2 local technology journalists who joined us, Megan Ellis and Tiana Klein, as well as Ryan Britton from the MIN Group, who was part of the judging panel.
Thank you so much, Lillian. It was such an honor for me, and also, representing the NGO Whisperer to be part of the judging panel. What a great lineup of judges you had, and great collaborating partners, and even working with the NGOs to understand the need on the ground. And that is one of the most important things in the nonprofit sector. You cannot begin to solve a problem before you understand who are affected, why they are affected, and solutions that the people who will benefit actually need. And most of the time, as we go into the field to bring solutions to different social issues that we face, it's one of the most important things. And sadly to say, not many organizations think that it is important. And I'm so glad to hear this and to know that you, as Microsoft South Africa, worked with the nonprofits, worked with technology companies, and involved different stakeholders. So it was a multi-sectoral approach to this. Now, to take us into the heart of the matter, which is Safe at Home Hackathon, you invited different groups, young people, being part of the judges. I saw amazing talent. How did this all come together?
If you just look at the technology-based solutions that the competitors present, one of the key things that the teams did was to leverage the Microsoft Azure platform to build and conceptualize their solutions. And I absolutely agree with you. As we were just going through the judging process, it was just inspiring to see the ingenuity and how the teams have truly leveraged powerful technology platforms. In fact, one of the teams built a solution using the intelligence system on Azure that leverages artificial intelligence plus machine learning to drive that integration between government systems and NGOs to ultimately enable, the sharing of public data and information. You also saw throughout the process that a number of the teams used the Azure bot services to build chatbots. And one of them was to empower victims with the details of incidences so that they could have it as evidence. And another chatbot was built for educational purposes to show people how to take action, how to find and ask for help. And also Azure app services were used to build web applications to help victims find, an easy place to get a safe haven, but also at the same time also give them, a channel to report incidences. So the ingenuity that just came out of all the teams were absolutely inspiring, and just how they stayed focused on the challenges that we provided them with, which was given to us by the NGOs.
People might wonder how many teams were there and how many teams went to the final and who were the winners.
So 60 technology solutions were submitted in total, which is quite a large number. And it was quite above our expectation. And just the caliber was a true testimony of just the creativity, innovation, ingenuity of young South Africans. We also needed to choose a winner, which is always the difficult part of any adjudication process. And we all agreed unanimously to choose a team called Combat GBV, and they were the overall winner. So what was interesting about the Combat GBV solution was that it was educational, it was interactive, and it was really made to educate women and children on GBV, how to take action, how to find and ask for help. And what stood out for us about the team was that, the quality of their prototype was very impressive. And also it was quite at an advanced stage because it was very clear that the team have put a lot of effort and time into the thought and the development of the prototype. The solution also, which I think is critical for our country, it had a broad reach and it was quite far reaching. So it would be able to address an urban, semi-urban, as well as rural, areas, which I think is quite important. So that comprehensive thinking is actually, what impressed us as the judges, and just how seamlessly the team moved across all three challenges which we identified. And the three challenges were: one, we wanted a preventative solution; two, if a victim faced a situation of emergency, we wanted to make sure the solution was applicable for that as well. And third was that as people would think about, building back their lives, how do you then empower them? And there were 4 judging criteria that we also looked at, which was the feasibility of the solution, the creativity, the quality of the prototype, which I already expanded on, as well as the desirability. And we just felt that Combat GBV as a team have really met all of the criteria which I've just specified.
I know there was also monetary awards given to the top 3 winners. Would you share with us what these were?
If you look at the overall award, the overall award price was about $8,000. So the winning team got $5,000. The second place team got $2,000, and the third place team got $1,000. And if you think about the next step, and as we think about the top 3 winners, we will move into phase 2 of the initiative. And we are now going to liaise with our partners who have expressed an interest in helping us build out the winning solutions. And we will for sure, share more details as this gets finalized, because our end goal is to make sure that ultimately by the time we're done, we put this, tools and apps back in the hands of the NGOs to ultimately give it to the most vulnerable at risk.
So what were the biggest challenges? I know in every hackathon or any project that you take on, there could be challenges and also lessons learned. What did you learn? What did you experience as a challenge here?
Key challenges which led to us, of course, partnering very deeply with the NGOs, was that we wanted to craft, the challenges that were pertaining to our environment, that were nuanced for the South African situation. We wanted it to be real. And so as the teams would go out there and develop their solutions, it needed to touch the very heart of the challenge we faced when it comes to GBV. I think the other one worth mentioning as well was just the fact that we had to host a virtual hackathon, ensuring that everybody had the right tools, the technology, and ensuring that people stay, on the milestones we've provided, and also to continue to maintain the level of connectedness that's typically needed when you do host a hackathon. And those are probably maybe the 2-3 ones that I would love to highlight.
Those are really beautiful lessons that you learned and shared with us. Of course, we were part of it towards the end as judges and got to experience the virtual judging. And I must say it went very well. I was very much impressed by how it went. And you know what? I'm not surprised. You are Microsoft, the leading global technology company. So I am so excited at what the future looks like for the great apps that were developed by the top 3 winners, and look forward to having these tools and the apps that were developed available for nonprofits to effectively address issues around gender-based violence and to provide a sustainable solution to this pandemic in South Africa. Now, for the next steps, where can our audience and people in South Africa follow the progress of these apps and how it will be utilized in the communities?
So Caroline, we will be sharing more information on the Safe at Home website that we've created. And I've also shared on my personal LinkedIn account a lot of details around this initiative, and I will continue to share. So people are also free to follow me if they just want to track the progress that we are making in this regard.
As we come to the end of our show, I would like to ask you, what message do you have for corporations in South Africa that are seeking to work with nonprofits to solve social issues in any community?
Thank you for that question, Caroline. Now, NGOs and our local communities are absolutely instrumental in helping us understand some of these issues, because they are very often at the front line, but also they will help you understand what is your opportunity to make an impact very quickly. So it is definitely worthwhile for us to invest meaningfully and to engage fully with them and to create that type of partnership so that we could ultimately make a difference in the communities within which we exist. And also, perhaps just lastly to share, I think the ingenuity that you can unlock by asking the right questions. For us, that was something that was also a great learning. I think number two, if you think of the innovation that you can create, and when you explore the possibilities just that technology can address. And I think number three, the opportunity you can generate by ultimately giving people access to powerful technology platforms. And for us, this were some of our key learnings, which we will continue to share with our partners, with our customers, because if you just think of where we are in history, it's important for us to think about powerful partnerships so that we can continue to drive an impact in our communities and in our countries within which we live.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching today's episode to learn how Microsoft is partnering with local NGOs in South Africa to provide tech solutions to fight gender-based violence in the country. Lillian, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you today on our show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for hosting me.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we end today, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on our social media, as well as follow Microsoft South Africa to learn more about what will come as a follow-up to this hackathon and the collaborations that they are building with nonprofits and the applications that will be developed out of the Safe at Home hackathon. Thank you so much. It's all about connecting people, raising funds, and impacting lives.